Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Ship It and Sip It. We're in the studio early on Friday morning because our guests are far away in Bali and it's already Friday afternoon there. Welcome to the show, Lyubov Dementyuk. She is a co-founder of the Mustard app and she's the managing director at Paralect. Lyubov, how are you today?
Fantastic, I would say. And yeah, hi everyone.
That's great to hear. Let's start off with some news. One of our longtime founders and partners, Michael Brooks, was recently on the Voice of FinTech podcast, where he described his journey as an entrepreneur, what he thinks about the future of remote work and using freelancers to supplement your team or create a whole team out of freelancers. It's very insightful, and I recommend that everyone go watch it. I'll put the link to it in the show notes. Now, on to our guest, Lyubov. I guess first tell us a little bit about why you are where you are in Bali. What was sort of the criteria you went through to decide that Bali was a place to call home for a long period of time?
Well, you know what? This is basically a really interesting question because, I don't know, it just happened. It just matched. That's it. Like I remember before I moved here, I was in Bali just vacationing 3 times or something. But I do remember the first time when I got here and the first few steps I made when I was like, going into the airport. And the heat and the tropical air and everything that is just like, at some point it makes you feel a little bit crazy because like it's different type of air. And the smell of all these incense and everything, but it felt like home from the first step. And I even didn't see anything, like I didn't go to the beach, I didn't go to the waterfalls, I didn't see mountains, like nothing. It was just the airport. But once I got there, I was just like, okay, now it's time to think how I'm gonna move here. And yeah, it took me like 2 years or something to settle down the things in my life, to change something. Well, basically I changed my life completely, let's be honest. But yeah, it took some time to actually make it happen. And here I'm already like more than 1.5 years. It's almost like 2 years. So yeah, I can say that it's going amazing, like really amazing.
All right. Yeah, it's been quite a while already, and you have sort of become a magnet to Bali for a lot of our team members. Maybe Bali was already on the list, but a lot of people from Paralect have spent some time there, some months, some weeks. And they're more going and more planning to go. What advice would you give to them for people who are maybe on the fence about Bali or any specific things to prepare for?
Well, I think that it depends actually if you are moving to a new place or you're just like traveling and you're planning to live for a couple of months and enjoy the life there, discover the life there and everything, have an amazing experience. Well, if you are moving to a new place, like I would say that I have a little bit different maybe mindset in regards to moving to a new place because for me, it's like, when you work in the company and if you don't like the company, you're changing the company. So I think about moving to a new place in from this perspective. Because like when you go to the new country, it's not only like you are enjoying, I don't know, nature, weather, like food, whatever, but it's also amazing that you meet different people. And you meet people who live there and you like getting to know their culture, their traditions, their religion, like everything that is about life, But you also meet different people who moved there and it's so interesting to hear all the stories. So I find this part very exciting and very inspiring because when you like hear all the stories. When you talk to different people, it's like really amazing, and it also like help you to think like in a different way. It's like, you know, before that you were at some box, and when you hear all the stories, the box started disappearing. You actually understand that you have so many like opportunities, challenges, experiences, like everything. As an advice or something, I don't think that this is advice, because like at the end of the day, everyone decides like on their end if they want to move somewhere or no. But I would say like a tips, don't think about like experience of moving somewhere from this, you know, boring part of preparing papers, finding the apartment, like finding, I don't know, hospitals, wherever. Just like you're gonna make it. That's it. Like it's gonna be easy. You will manage it. You will find a way. Like it's nothing so complicated. And I think that maybe it's one of the reasons that basically stops people from like, you know, moving to new places, because, you know, it really takes some time to set up your life in a way like you used in your country. But if you see it not as something complicated and like something that actually wastes your time, but it's like more experience and it's something that you're going to discover, I believe it will make it easier.
Definitely, and I totally agree with pretty much all of that. Having moved around the world and relocated a few times, yes, the challenges can feel like a burden, but I totally agree that the opportunities you find when you get to a new place are just new, different, and they open new doors for you, your work, your future, your family, your relationships, really everything. So a lot of our teammates are moving to new places for many reasons at the moment, and it's really cool, at least in my opinion, that there's sort of a welcoming community already in some of the coolest places, like Bali, like Portugal. We have some people. So that is actually my first piece of advice when people ask me about my experience moving or relocating for a long time in a new place. I always say, try to go somewhere where you have at least a couple people, because it just makes it so much easier. If you have someone that's already there, knows the situation, knows, sort of helps you navigate those initial challenges, it's really much, much easier.
Yeah, like, you know, but I think, yes, at some point it can make the whole process easier, but I don't think that this is something that should stop you, because like I moved here by myself, alone and everything, and it was amazing. Like, yeah, it was challenging at some points, but also like in different countries there are so many expats, there are so many different people who already moved there, and basically usually in every country like this you have the community of expats who is also like, I don't know, wondering about how you're gonna get your visa, where is the best hospital, where I can rent a car or apartment or wherever. So this is like one part. And another part, you know what, it actually just pops up in my head, that maybe as an advice before moving to a new country, try to live there. Not just like spend your vacation like for 2 weeks or something, but really try to live there. Like if it's possible, stay there for 1 month just to like, you know, to see how it's going and how you feel there, and if it really fits your needs and everything. So maybe this is like, it's actually interesting that during the conversation I realized that. But this is maybe something that really helped me going forward, realize that, yeah, I want to I want to spend some time, I don't know how much time, but I want to really live there, and I'm gonna stay there for a while.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that remote work sort of became more of a norm, especially at Paralect, so that this opportunity is open for everyone
Yeah.
that we work with, at least. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your role at Paralect, because as we said when we were discussing this interview, a lot of people might not know too much about what you do. You sort of tend, at least in my opinion, you tend to work a little bit behind the scenes within the company, but you've been here since 2020, summer, and nearly 2 years now. So tell us a little bit about that, and what are your main responsibilities with Paralect, and give our teammates a chance to get to know you a little bit.
Okay, well, the first thing I should mention that my Plus video is still like being cooked by Nikita and video team. It's probably gonna be like, you know, the latest stuff that you're gonna get, but it's on the way, it's on the way. Well, it's actually interesting how my story with Paralect started, so I'm gonna start from that part, because maybe it's gonna give some, like, you know, explanation why it's happening in this way, for example. Well, yeah, back to 2020, COVID time, it just arrived. Everybody was like, we are not allowed to say F word, right? So everybody was just like, wow, what's happening? And yeah, at that time I was working at multiple projects as a product manager. And at some point when we finished our part with the designing, scoping and everything, we were looking for, like, I don't know, for a cool technical partner who can basically deliver the product in a good quality. And then I got the reference from the man with who we were working before. And that's basically how I texted Dmitry on WhatsApp and saying like, hey, what's up? I have a project. Maybe we can like catch up and discuss if it's something that is interesting for you, and so on. But you know Dmitry, right? So he's like, yeah, okay, project, cool, and whatever. But like, can you tell me what are you actually doing? Like, what is your experience and what you're currently doing, and stuff like this. So yeah, we talked. I told him about my experience, that I was head of design, that I was head of project management, that I was working in different startups on different roles. And then he was like, okay, so maybe let's work together. And at that moment, basically we co-founded Mustard. So I was pretty much deeply involved in all the stages that was happening. So that wasn't the right time to, like, you know, to leave Mustard up and basically move to Paralect. And we agreed that I'm gonna be working with Paralect on part-time basis as a non-executive director. What it means mostly consulting. It means mostly like providing some guidance, recommendations, reviewing things, finding weak points or finding like great points about the company and everything. And yeah, mostly like we were working together with Dmitry. And then in a while, I just started to know different people from the company, because, like, you know, when you work with something, you cannot just like communicate with one person, even though Dmitry is amazing. Yeah. So yeah, and then like I was getting more involved, I would say, in different processes in the company, I would say, on different levels, but mostly it was like C-level tasks, like everything that is about planning, everything that is about like, I don't know, global processes in the company, like budgeting, KPIs and everything. Or like building new departments, for example, marketing department, like business development department, and etc. Yeah, and it was like that maybe for 1 year or something. I don't remember exactly. And then it was October 2021, as far as I remember. And we had an internal discussion with the master team in order to understand like how we can move forward faster and how we can be more productive. And I just know it just happened, and Dmitry was just like, come on, Luba, just like make a decision. Let's work together. We really need you on full time. That's it. Like, I don't buy anymore that you don't have time and everything. Just like, come on. And yeah, then we agreed that I basically started working on it full time. And yeah, this is basically how I got in the place where I currently am. And again, just to sum up, it was a little bit like too much, but currently what I'm responsible for, it's again everything that is about, like actually it's as simple as that, what you need to do in order to run the company. Like there are so many responsibilities, there are so many tasks, there are so many, I don't know, different challenges, whatever. I don't want to say that I do it by myself, like just to be clear, because like we have the team who is basically helping a lot, and of course we have like different responsibilities. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's something like that, because at some point I was trying to like list my responsibilities, but then I understand that list never ends, because like again, what do you need to do in order to run the company? So many things, like huge amount of things.
Awesome. All right, well, let's jump back in time then a little bit and talk about Mustard, because I think it's a really interesting experience that you had, and it will be valuable for other founders that we work with in the future, to understand that we have people on our team that have been in their shoes and seen some of the challenges that they're facing. So Mustard is a video app similar to TikTok, that's focused on foodies, food content creators, right? And you were the co-founder there. Let's go back to the initial idea of the app, because we do spend a lot of time talking about product discovery. So I want to focus a little bit on that stage of Mustard with your team. What was the initial idea, and how did sort of the founding team form around this vision for Mustard?
All right. Basically, the idea of Mustard, well, it was really a challenging process. Initially, like basically, the idea is the same as we had back then, like 2 years ago. But like when I tell idea, it means that it's too wide. Like idea is this is something really big and huge anyway. But what is more important, that we had some hiccups when we were like scoping the MVP. Because again, this is like the market of food delivery, food discovery, food ordering and everything. And there are so many like already famous companies who are leaders on the market, like DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, whatever. Like there are so many competitors. And that was basically the challenge, because we understood that usually how people say when they say about MVP, try like develop the most valuable features, deliver it to the market, see how it goes, talk to your users, then polish, upgrade, release new features, and it's gonna be fine. In our case, it was a little bit challenging to scope really like just the most important features, because in our case we had some features that are completely new way of discovering and ordering food. So basically we created that from scratch, and this is something that is like nobody ever tried to do this. And another part of features was just operational part, I would say. I mean, choosing how you're gonna get your food, tracking your order, like leaving the feedback and like payment methods, whatever. And that was a tricky moment because we understood that we cannot cut that part because all the users, they already got used to this. And for them, if we cut this, it means that the value can be not like, fully delivered for the users. And that was really a tricky moment. We were always like, viewing, checking and everything. But thanks to our development team and chief technology officer, that basically was, cool that they found the way how we can build it and we can deliver it. That was like the first moment when we just we're trying to deliver the first version of the product. Of course, we also had a case where it was, I've met so many startups who are always struggling with understanding what is more valuable because when you're building the product, you want to make the experience of users amazing. And you want to add so many little details, features that are going to help users on the way. And that was also the tricky moment to understand okay, this one, it's not so valuable, so we're going to add it later. So this was one of the parts when it was really challenging. And another part was challenging when we actually were talking with our users. And it also was really, we just again got somewhere when we got a lot of feedback, and of course it was positive feedback, but there were so many different ideas from different people where they were saying, okay, if you add this one, I'm gonna be using your app for sure. This is the only thing I'm gonna use. I don't need any DoorDash, Postmates, whatever. And since we did a user interview with 40 or 50 people, there were so many things. And that was the second moment when it was just wow, okay, so what's we gonna do with this? Yeah, but again, this is the process of always discussing, prioritizing, understanding the value, understanding the resources, how much time it's going to take to develop and everything. It's some type of going always back and forth. But I believe this is just some part of product development.
Okay. All right. There's a lot that I actually want to dig in that you covered there. I want to dig into some of the key moments though. On your founding team, you had 3 co-founders and then pretty quickly added a CEO from what you told me. So you have 4 people trying to establish the scope of the MVP and also deal with these incoming ideas from different users. What did you learn from that process? I guess we work with a lot of solo entrepreneurs or either, co-founding teams. Was sort of 4 chefs too many to have in the kitchen, or would you do that again? Or what was your takeaway from that?
Well, I would say that, the first thing that 4 co-founders, but each of us, we had our own expertise, meaning that it helped us to basically understand who is responsible for what and who is running what. And I do believe that this was something that made us special because I know so many cases when, for example, someone has the idea, but they are looking for example, chief technology officer as a co-founder, or they're looking for chief marketing officer as a co-founder. So in our case, it was combo. We had one of the co-founders was a chief technology officer, so he was covering all the technical side. Another one was he has an amazing experience in terms of building startups, raising money, and everything, and he's a serial entrepreneur, so he was more about strategy. He was helping with the investments, funding, and overall, like, you know, direction. Chief Executive Officer Diana, she had an amazing experience as a producer. She was doing films and movies and stuff for like Netflix, BBC, and etc. So she has a great expertise in like video content and how it works and everything. And she was also foodie, and that was amazing because like basically this is our target audience. And my expertise was product and design, so it was like, you know, amazing match. Of course, since we all four people, we were already on the leading positions, and we were already like, you know, people who have this leadership spirit. Of course, we had the cases where we were just like, you know, arguing with each other and fighting and saying like, no, 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 we're gonna do this way. No, 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 if we do this way, we're gonna fail. But again, I believe communication is everything. And this is what helped us to move forward. And we just agreed who's gonna be responsible for that questions. We agreed who's gonna be decision maker in this type of questions. Of course, everybody is welcome to like tell the opinion, to share pros and cons and everything. This is like the part of any team that you work with. But that helped us to like, you know, a little bit to go away from that, like, you know, never-ending discussions and like always sharing and saying like, no, 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 it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. And then the second part, like I would say, when we were at the place where we like couldn't make an agreement, we just talked to our users. And that's it. It's that simple as it is.
Super. I want to have one more question around the sort of MVP and feature scope before we move on to go-to-market. At Paralect, both with our venture studio and with the accelerator, the goal is always to launch MVPs as quickly as possible. So I'm trying to imagine a situation where we have a founder or a founding team that we partner with. They come to us and they're in a similar situation as you guys were with Mustard. You have a lot of ideas. You're going up against competition that basically requires you to have a certain feature set functional before adding your own like super special differentiating feature. What does Paralect or what does our team do to sort of help in that situation? How can we help founders move this process along quicker?
Yush, what a question, John. You mean what we can do as Paralect, or it's kind of advice that we can give to the founders?
I would say if these founders are working with us and we're in the product discovery phase and they've got this back and forth about the features that they want and they can't sort of decide, how can we as sort of as their technical partner, we've got the BA team, we've got the PDMs that are partnered with them, that are working with them to find this happy medium, happy middle ground, so that we can launch quicker.
Okay, got it. So I believe the key to the success here, if someone is in the place where they're struggling with understanding the MVP, I would say, like first of all, you need to talk to your users, and the most essential part, this is to ask them right questions. because like I don't believe in the questions like will you use our app ever. Of course you're gonna get the answer yes, let's be honest, okay? But just like, I don't know, give some freedom to users to check your product and think twice or even 3 times or 4 times about the questions that you're gonna ask. It's not that simple, even though like everybody is always telling like the success to the secret is user interviews. I would rather say that the success to the secret to the success is to ask the right questions. And yeah, I've been in so many times at a place where like, you know, we were asking like so basic questions, and then we got the results like based on the interviews, but then when we are launching something the feedback is completely different, and we were just like, why? Like, but we did user interview. So yeah, just to sum up, talk to your users. And the second part, this is basically ask the right questions. And this is basically great that here in Paralect we paying attention and overall attitude to work is we always trying to do our best in terms of helping entrepreneurs, because again, even though that someone can be serial entrepreneur or something, when you're building your business you're also going to face with different hiccups, challenges and everything. So it's really cool that we are developing like product expertise, and what I was telling before previously, this is like part of product expertise. And it's really great that we are developing like, you know, advisors board when we are developing accelerator and whatever. I do believe that this is also help us and our guys, our teams, to think from the perspective of like business owners, you know, and this is completely different like mindset. I don't know if like I managed to answer your question. If not, feel free to ask another one. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and the only thing I would add there is we just released a blog post about product market research that covers some of the questions and the interview tactics that people should use when they're doing research pre-launch. And we have an example of user interviews that we went through with one of our product lab products. So check that out on blog.paralect.com. It's there now. For some ideas. All right, let's briefly touch on the go-to-market process for Mustard, because that's another very important thing once you've got the scope of your MVP figured out, especially for a consumer app that's going up against things like you mentioned, DoorDash, but also going up against things like TikTok and Instagram Reels and things like that. So how did you sort of narrow down the right size for your target market to launch initially?
Well, like I gotta be honest here. What helped us a lot, this is the previous experience of our one of the co-founders. He went through the program of Y Combinator, so he was sharing like really good insights. And at the beginning, when like we were scoping the MVP and everything, of course we were focused not only on MVP, but we also were thinking like, okay, how are we gonna launch? Where, like how are we gonna get our like first users? And yeah, there was a moment when we were just like, okay, we can launch it on so many markets and just see how it goes and everything. But the point is that I believe for the MVP, when you're launching it, it's better to keep the audience like pretty much small, I would say. Why like that? Because first of all, you will have the opportunity, and like you can basically work with this audience like really close. You can get the insights, you can see how they use the product, You can see like, do they like it or not, what features they use more and more. So it's kind of like, even though like, it's actually funny because I've seen so many startups who are, adding to their pitch deck that the market is huge, we can launch, we can get so many users and everything. Okay, cool, but stop it. Let's think about basically the market, how you're going to do this. Of course, we have the entire world, we have so many countries. But I think this is just like how industry changes. Now it's better to narrow down your audience, understand where you're going to launch, to check your idea of the startup on this market, and if you see that it works, because like it's not a simple process that you are just launch and getting the feedback and blah blah blah. Sometimes you can need completely the vision of your product. So it's better to do it without one audience instead of like launching and trying to conquer the world and everything with your app. And this is what actually helped us, and we were focusing on LA market, Los Angeles. So that was the first city we decided to like basically launch the app and see how it goes and get the feedback and discover how users use the app and everything. And yeah, this is basically when we got to the point that we understood that, okay, we're going to launch just in this market. Our ambitions are great. It's great that we're going to like be, I don't know, popular everywhere, but it's better for the business and it's better for the app to launch just in one market.
Super. Well, it makes sense. And Los Angeles has an amazing amount of fantastic food. And I'm sure it has a lot of people creating video content around it. So on the off chance that any of you are listening in or watching from LA, check out Mustard app if you love food and videos.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you mentioned your co-founder who came from Y Combinator, because this is sort of recent news. I don't know if you read yesterday or last week. When this comes out, it'll be last week. Y Combinator wrote a letter to all their startup founders that basically said, get ready for an economic downturn. Venture fundraising is going to get a lot harder in the next X amount of time. We're not sure how long that'll be, but prepare for basically the worst. So this doesn't just affect, obviously, Y Combinator startups. This affects the whole startup ecosystem globally. I guess it's a big question, but if you were a founder, what steps do you think you'd be taking to sort of prepare for this? And you can skip this question if you don't want to answer it.
Well, I do believe that this is basically something that every founder of the startup should think about. This is called like risk management. And of course, when you face the, I would say, unusual challenges, it's kind of always stressful, because if you face with this for the first time, you don't have previous experience in solving these kind of issues. But I would say, as an advice, maybe first of all to analyze your business model, your cash flow, your revenue, everything that is about money, just to understand in what condition currently your company is, and if something happens, like what resources you as a company have. And the second, to think about worst scenarios and what you're going to do as a company. It's always great to have the plan before you're faced with something, even though sometimes the reality can turn out like completely different and you couldn't even imagine that it's going to happen. But it's like, maybe it's some psychological thing or something. When you already were thinking about different options and everything, first of all, before preparing these plans, you analyze so many things about your company, and you're just like, kind of doing a step back and trying to understand all the big picture that is happening currently. So yeah, it's like as simple as that, I believe. Just to I don't know, try to create the worst scenarios. And it's actually this like kind of exercise helps companies to understand their weak points, because like when you are preparing for the worst, you can understand like what weak points in your company, and this is like a growth points for you. So
Sure.
yeah.
Super advice. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens, as always. All right, let's talk a little bit about your transition away from being active with the Mustard app and joining Paralect. I'm curious why you stepped away from an active role there. You mentioned a little bit before about how you were part-time here, part-time there, etc. But you read stories about founders who they become a founder of a startup and they say things like, I'm never going back to a regular company job. And not to say that Paralect is a regular company job or anything like that, but you get this sense that once you get to that founder level, sort of anything different wouldn't be sort of, I don't know, enjoyable or satisfying to them anymore. So tell us about your case and why you made that transition.
Okay. The first thing I should mention, I don't think from the perspective I work in the company. I work with the company. I partnered with the company. And when you realize that, like, this is basically changing your overall attitude and approach in work. And I do believe that this mindset helped me to build my career pretty much fast. Because I never, I never work based on the, I don't know, responsibilities, requirements or something. It's just like the mindset, that's it. So this is like the first part. The second part about like why I made the decision to leave Mustard and join Paralect. Well, the first reason is that as a co-founder, I was looking at this not like this is my job, I'm getting the payment there, I'm getting the salary. I was looking at this as a business. And at some point, like when we launched the app, and for us it was the step of growth, we as a team understood that we need someone who will be there in Los Angeles and who will be able to, I don't know, go meet people from restaurants, from different venues, and etc., who can handle the offline events over there. Like there are so many things that like we should do in order to be successful, in order to get more users, in order to grow. And we like understood that we need someone there, and that was a moment when we just like, I don't know, talked in an honest way, and like I told guys that come on, like for business it's better for you to like hire someone else, because again, as we co-founded these startups for people, but we were doing like work. We're not just like co-founded, hired the team, and we were doing nothing. No, we were just like really hard working and doing the stuff. And yeah, of course, like when you understand that like it's gonna be more beneficial for the business if they're gonna hire someone over there, I was okay with that. Like I just like really. My only wish is that master gonna be successful, gonna be cool, and we need to do anything that is required from us as like people who co-founded this startup to do this. And the second part, again, this is about my overall attitude to to work, job, whatever. When you think from the perspective of partnership, and that you are working with the company, not in the company, you're working with the company, I pay attention always to the idea, like overall what people do here, why they do here, and do they believe in this? Are they ambitious, or they're just like okay with what they have and all good? And the second, I pay attention to the team. So for me, this is like two main points when I choose the, I don't know, the next company, the next people I'm partnering with. And at Paralect, it matched. It just like were two puzzles that were just like bumps, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, okay. I want to dig into that a little bit because the timing is interesting. So, as we mentioned, you joined Paralect late spring, early summer in 2020, which was, a very transformational time, to put it positively, for the way we work, and the pandemic was changing the way that the teams function a little bit. It was still very early. We didn't know if that was going to be like the moment of a strong economic downturn, but it actually turned out that tech companies did quite well during the pandemic. So what sort of was the opportunity that you saw at Paralect that was happening at that moment?
Well, first of all, the direction, where the company was moving, I would say in this way. Of course, at that moment, we still didn't have that clear vision about the direction, but I saw so many people who are really passionate about their work, and people who are always trying to do more, way more than it just written in their job description, whatever. And I understood that with the people like this, you can basically build anything. Like if people have this compassion, if people are so motivated, if they're so open-minded, if they're always curious, if they have goals that sometimes when you hear this, you think like, oh my God, how are we gonna make it? Is it even doable? Like seriously? So that was the moment. I did my choice because I saw that way of thinking, and I saw that there are so many initiatives in the company that are not basic stuff. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons. And another part, based on this, I understood that even at that moment, I understood that in a few years we're gonna be way bigger than just service company. Because again, when you see all this on the table, and when you understand that, you just understand that the company is not gonna be like this in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, and etc.
Yeah, and we are already sort of 2 years removed from that point, and yes, a lot has sort of changed. Maybe give us a quick sort of vision into where you see Paralect headed. There's a lot going on. What are some highlights for you?
I would say that currently our goal is to build the ecosystem where entrepreneurs can get any help that they need. They need, for example, product advisory. Okay, we can help with that. You need help with fundraising. Okay, we can help with that. You need reliable tech partner. Okay, you're welcome. You need to, understand why you're stuck and why your metrics are not growing. Okay, cool. So for me, it looks like the entire ecosystem that basically help with startups, because sometimes it's a little bit challenging to work with different companies on all the things that you need in order to build a successful startup. And it's better like to have one partner that you know that this is reliable, I don't know, company, and you can get any help there and everything. So for me, now the vision looks exactly like this.
Super. And just one moment, I want to pause on that the ecosystem idea, because I think a couple of days ago, one of our partners, one of our products, Fluency Score, they posted on LinkedIn about one of our other partners, a founder of a real estate web app platform, Smart Alto. They had used Fluency Score to analyze their metrics, see where they were stuck, and sort of grade their progress as a startup. And that, to me, is one of those things where that's one of the key ingredients of the ecosystem idea, is not only the services that we can provide or the mentorship that we can provide directly, it's also that we have products in our portfolio and our partners have products that can help the other founders within the portfolio. All right, one of the areas that is important for startups around the world, and one that I wanted to ask you about because you are a female founder, is female founder experience. The data is pretty clear, at least from the reports I've seen, that startups with women on the founding team or female founders have much higher success rates, but receive much, much less funding across all markets. So what's your experience with that, and how do you think we can improve that? I know that here at Paralect, we work with several startups with female founders, and they've all been quite successful. So what can we do to make this better?
What can we do in order to make it better? Basically, keep doing what we already do. That's it. Again, based on my experience, of course, I faced with the cases when it was challenging to be a woman in a leadership team or something. But maybe it's going to be a little bit like rude answer or something, but I simply don't pay attention on this. Like, I do believe that it's not about the gender. I do believe that this is about the skills you have, the way how you work, the way how your attitude, I don't know, is built about your opportunities and everything. I simply don't pay attention to gender, and when I meet the cases when someone pays attention to this, I simply don't care. That's it. And this is probably can be my tip to any female founder, leader, or whatever. Just keep going. That's it. And I do believe that this is like, it's not about when we are talking about the success, it's not about the gender. It's more about personality. It's more about mindset. It's again about skills, about ambitious and everything. And for me, there is no place to pay attention to gender. And there are so many cases that can prove it to any person who is, like, thinking in a different way. And again, from the perspective of Paralect, we have so many amazing women in the leadership who already proved, helped the company to grow. So for me, even though, yeah, of course, I had the experience and I experienced that, but it's okay. I just keep going.
All right. One other area that is new in terms of mentorship for you in Bali, you have joined the Founder Institute Bali. So tell us a little bit about that. Our listeners might be aware or have heard of Founder Institute before. I know a little bit at a high level, but specifically to this regional program that's local to you, what is it and what is your role there?
Yeah, so basically Founders Institute, this is like one of the largest in the world proven network of different experts from different domains. I mean, of course, it's all about building the startups, but still. And basically, they already like represented in so many countries and in so many cities. I don't remember exactly, but you can check their website, and like the map of the locations is just like wow, mind blowing. My role there will be like a mentor for the startups, and since they're like currently they are launching the program for early stage startups on the stage of idea. So basically, we, like myself as a mentor and other mentors, I'm not the only one there, gonna help entrepreneurs and startup founders to validate their idea, to understand their next steps, to basically shape idea in order to build successful startup. And currently they are like launching the program in Bali. So probably for now I can't say you like a lot of details and everything, because for me it's going to be like the first experience as well. And I do believe that maybe in December we can do another one interview, and I'm going to tell you more about this experience. But yeah, I feel excited about this because I always into the communities that share their knowledge, that help to grow each other, who support each other. It's like I do believe that this is really cool, and this is really like an essential part of being an entrepreneur and building basically the business, the startup. So yeah, let's see how it goes. For now, it's like, yeah, it's something that I faced for the first time. Of course, I worked with a lot of companies on different stages and everything with different tasks. But in this role specifically, it's going to be like my first experience. So wish me luck.
Awesome. Well, good luck. Can you paint us a little bit of a picture of the startup environment in Bali? Is it mostly like digital nomads who are from other places, founders that are living there and launching their startups just because Bali's a beautiful place to live? Or is it like local startups, local people that are building for the Bali market, for the Indonesian market, for the Asian market? What sort of mix is there?
Well, for now, again, I'm gonna share with you my understanding that I have for now. Again, later, I think I'll have more like deep understanding how it works here. But for now, I should say that there are so many digital nomads who are living in Bali, and this is like pretty much a good environment for, like, you know, balancing your work and life. I know so many people who are from different countries, like from Australia, who is building their startup and living here in Bali, from Europe, from United States, from Vietnam, from like, it goes and goes and goes and goes, and the list is really huge. About the local market, for now, I can't say you that I do have like a good understanding of local market, like specifically Bali. I know that this market is already like in a good shape in Jakarta. This is like the capital of Indonesia. But about the Bali, I'm really curious about local market. I want to see the entrepreneurs. I want to see how they do things. I want to see the way of their thinking, how they face the challenges, what kind of ideas do they have when they, like, you know, come to the program and say like, okay, help me please to build it. I really want to build it in a like right way, let's say. So yeah, again, there are so many things to discover, but I think that this is gonna be really interesting, really interesting.
Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to doing that follow-up interview in December to see what you find out and what the process is like. I think it's kind of an interesting balance for startups in terms of community, because the pandemic sort of made us all used to doing everything through digital interfaces, but at the same time, like regional communities of startups and actual face-to-face events, for me, are much more engaging. It's much more, I don't know, supportive to see people that you actually know in your city who are working on something and see them just in a day-to-day life and get updates on their progress. So how do you sort of balance that? What do you find more exciting? Is it like building a global startup community around Paralect, or is it like, let's try and build these cool regions and hubs for startup activities?
Okay, there are so many eagles you can like answer from to this question, but I do believe that it's currently, like all the people who work in these domains, this is some kind of transformation they're passing through, because before that, like everybody got used to like meeting each other face to face, talking and everything. And I do remember that maybe 3 years ago, when I had calls with like different partners, clients, etc. Of course, through Google Meet or wherever, it doesn't mean which tool. But I do remember that in 90% cases, nobody used the camera. Like nobody. You basically were talking to a black screen with it, like with a little photo, and that's it. That was challenging because again, when you are talking to someone, like you need to see the reaction, the like overall how the person is like talking to you. It's like, I do believe that this is important. But it's a little bit strange to say, but thanks to COVID, these things changed completely. Now it's like part of our lives, I would say, and that's why I do believe that it gives additional opportunity in terms of building the community. There are so many tools that you can use. I don't know, from like some chats and everything. I don't know. This list is just like huge. There are so many tools. So for me, I see it more beneficial when you build like global community than you're building just like local community. But the important thing is that the goal of this community, like why you're building this. And I do believe that in different maybe domains and like with different goals, like it can be different.
For sure. Awesome. Well, that was my last question for you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sorry, I should have said this is my last question. Thank you so much. And in terms of community, just to highlight one other thing I saw from social media last week, our head of business development, Kostya, he is in Estonia, or he was in Estonia for Latitude 59, which is a large startup conference and event in Estonia. And in Poland, Elena, our head of marketing, is at the Wolves Summit, was at the Wolves Summit, which is another Eastern European tech startup. So events are sort of slowly coming back. We don't always have to talk to each other through these interfaces, but I'm glad that we got the chance to record this interview with you from sunny Bali, and I hope you have a lovely Friday, a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was an interesting experience, I would say. And thank you so much for making it so easy. Like, I don't know, it's just like, okay, John, for how long we are friends? Okay, let's talk. So thank you so much.
Awesome. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. Look forward to talking to Lyubov again later this year, maybe. And have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Today's show is brought to you by one of our partners, Fluent. The team at Fluent has created the Fluency Score, which is a web app that scores your startup across different metrics. It's perfect for founders who want to get a better analytical understanding of the progress they're making with their product. One of our other founders, Hassan Riggs, with Smart Alto, recently used Fluent, and he had this to say about the platform. Quote, I knew I was supposed to be building a growth machine, but I didn't actually know how until Fluent, end quote. So head on over to fluencyscore.com and fill out the form that is there with the information about your startup, and you can find out how you're doing and how you can improve your product market fit or whatever stage you're at. So have a great day and stay fluent.